big brain.
You have big brain. Check out the big brain on Brad. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning, asshole.
Your parents' house is on the island of Manhattan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is this your childhood bedroom that you're in now?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not still full of just like random childhood trinkets and things. Like, it definitely has been matured as Joel has gotten older. You know, some of the cute little butterflies and the little pictures and all the stuffed animals. Some of that's been removed, replaced with knife marks and, you know, just random papers that she's shuffled through, and there's piles of dirty clothes on the floor and typical teenager bedroom type things.
Right. Yeah. No. Okay. So you're 17. Is Joel the type of person who would put a band poster or the poster of a rock star or a musician? Not to say that she's only into rock. I don't know that yet. But, you know, like if you were a Backstreet Boys fan, you put the teen magazine pinup on the wall.
No, that's not really Joel's style. Not gonna happen. I mean, there's a pile of like records and, you know, like CDs and things that are lying about, but
it's a lead into this question. When you started to do that transition from your preteen decor and bedroom fill, to put a generic term on it, into a more mature, grown-up version of the teenager Joel. There's maybe a few things that you just couldn't let go of. Like you could ditch all of those old records. Like I'm not going to listen to any of all the soundtracks to every Disney movie, all the Disney cartoon movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to keep that one. I don't know. I'm just pulling a name out of the air. But I'm going to keep the soundtrack to the Muppet movie because I liked that one. It had Dr. Hook and the Teeth, or Dr. Tooth and the Medicine Show, or whatever it was called. A rock song on that you liked. Kind of a guilty pleasure, perhaps. Maybe it's not so childish. Maybe you hang on to a boy band thing, but now you listen to more moody, new metal or darker stuff.
There is a Van Morrison record that sits. It doesn't get played a lot, but it's there, and it's got one song in particular that just hits her right in the good spots, and that would be Brown Eyed Girl.
And that was something since you were like little?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My dad used to spin me around in the kitchen when we'd make dinner, just blaring that out of the speaker and sing it all the time, just to annoy me. But also, it used to be a good memory. It's pretty banged up. It's pretty old. It's been abused, but it's still there.
Vinyl? A record?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So is it the full-length album or is it like the 45? I don't know. That's just because I'm a record head. It's not important. Interesting side note. If I do a cheat tune on my guitar, Brown Eyed Girl is one of the very few songs I can actually play.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it comes in handy. But I have to do a open C tuning or something on the guitar, and I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to play guitar. I sound like I do in this particular moment only because I've worked out this particular issue. But I have to go find the cheat sheet that I have hidden somewhere that shows me how to do. Anyways, long story. So you keep that. What are you listening to these days?
Oh God, a lot of rock. Not like 80s hair band rock, but like, that good classic smooth, you get some Eddie Van Halen.
You don't even have a clue, do you? Did you even?
Is that around at this point? Eddie Van Halen, like AC/DC.
Yeah, let's see.
I don't know my music history that well. I just kind of know a general sense.
Google gods are the best.
The Google gods.
Top songs in '89: Free Fall and Tom Petty, The Love Shack, B-52s, So Alive, Love and Rockets, 18 in Life, Skid Row, 18 in Life. I Won't Back Down, Tom Petty. Tom Petty was rocking it.
Tom Petty was pretty.
Well, Full Moon Fever had come out, or whatever. I think that's what it was called. When I See You Smile, Bad English. When I see you smile.
Led Zeppelin was a big one, right? Led Zeppelin's like top tier.
That would be a transitional band. That would be something that you would have picked up from Dad and Van Morrison that could have drug you into perhaps Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode or Rockin' in the Free World by Neil Young.
Oh, God.
Zeppelin was 70s, yes.
Aerosmith.
This is September 1989. For those of you who were here for Offstage yesterday and know the spoilers, I've actually tweaked a few things in that regard. So I've pocketed that idea because it is September 1989. We were talking about tonight's. I didn't know what I was going to do tonight, so we were talking about it during my live stream on Monday. So yeah, if you tune in during the day on Monday, you might get some cheats. Either way, it's not important.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's what it is.
There you go.
You, Curtis. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
There was a lot of good music back then.
There was.
I graduated high school in 1990, so I was the exact same age as Joel. Mm-hmm. That just popped. I just realized that. I was like, oh wow. Yeah.
I didn't think of the Eagles. I love the Eagles. That's a side note just for me.
Ever since Lebowski, I will always say, fuck the Eagles. I hate the fucking Eagles.
What?
I listen to the Eagles. That's Curtis. Shut up, Curtis. But I'm also a big Lebowski fan, and so now forever I can only say, God, man, I hate the fucking Eagles. Anything but the fucking Eagles. You have to watch The Big Lebowski. You'll know what I'm talking about. You'll mark out. It's hilarious. The basic idea was trying to get just a better picture of Joel as herself. It's dark. Do you have a window in your bedroom?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is outside your bedroom? What is Joel's view when she looks out at her neighborhood?
So her window faces like the back of the house, so she gets a good view of the unkept, unruly backyard that she does not take the time to take care of. There's like an old rusted like swing set that hasn't been touched in years. It's a pretty packed neighborhood because it's Manhattan. So there's like a random, light on in the neighbor's house just across the street. Old Lady Gertie is what we call her. Nobody actually knows what her name is, but she's always just kind of bitchy when we run around the neighborhood. She would actually scream at us for playing with her cat, which I never understood, but apparently Old Lady Gertie did not want us touching her cat. Don't know why. Really weird.
Are you tempting me, giving me this old lady character and cats, throwing that shit up in the air, just teasing me to do something terrible, aren't you?
Did not do anything to that poor cat. I think he died years ago. No one's seen him.
I have lots of cats.
There's like some clotheslines with like some handfuls of, sheets and things that people have put out. But it's a relatively quiet neighborhood, especially nowadays, because most of the kids are all around my age and they've grown up and gone on, or they're graduating high school and going to college and doing all those, fun things.
So this house sounds like it's going to be in one of the older neighborhood areas. on the island. Is it like in the family? Did your parents move here just because of work? Or is it like somebody's always lived here? This is just kind of like, this used to be Uncle Bob's house or Grandma's house or...
Yeah. So, kind of. So it was, we called him Uncle Sam. It was my dad's best friend, who happened to be an older gentleman that my dad met during his military days. And Uncle Sam wanted to get out of the city and move to the boondocks. So they ended up with this house when I was pretty little. I was probably 2, if even. Still got a dirt basement, too.
Just out of curiosity, what was the relationship between old lady Gertie and Uncle Sam?
That I don't know. That I don't think I want to know. Maybe that's why she didn't like us playing with her cat.
Also, for my frame of reference, when do you reach the age of distinguished old guy? Or how did you describe it?
He's an older gentleman.
An older gentleman? Yes. When do you reach the older gentleman? How old do you have to be? Because I want to know when Eric is going to call me Curtis is an older gentleman.
Well, like at the age of 17, like an older gentleman's like, 45.
Oh my God. I'm there.
You're 17.
I'm there. I'm past that.
At the age of 24, I'm like, you're an older gentleman when you're 75. But at 17, I definitely was like, wow, you're 45, you're fucking old, bro.
All right.
That wound.
Heart pounding. Sweaty. Stinking of piss. Because it's KULT. And I will always have something disgusting. What do you do? What's the first thing you do? You look around the room. Everything seems normal. There's some light cast in. I don't know if there's like a yard light or from the street lights or what comes in the back from the backyard, but it's not moonlight.
Definitely artificial.
Yeah. Sort of that white phosphorescent sort of glow.
Get up, strip the bed, cuss a lot, rub my hands through my hair. It's big, it's poofy, it's out of control. Whatever. Tie it up into a bun. To the shower. Toss the old sheets in the laundry room. Whatever.
It's about 4 a.m. What did you have planned for the day?
Well, it wasn't getting up at 4 a.m., I can tell you that. I don't know. I don't ever really make a plan for the day besides what's next or what lead to follow. So I probably would head downstairs, make a cup of coffee, grab a bowl of cereal or something, whatever was actually decent in the house, and head over to the little makeshift evidence war room that has once been known as the dining room, but is now known as the war room in Joel's head. It's just a big old chunk on the wall. She's just taped a whole bunch of shit to and strings and stabbed things, and there's probably a knife sticking out of it at some point.
A 17-year-old Perry Mason.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like it. I don't like how bright this page is.
Blinded by the light.
Yeah, I can actually. Let's see. It changes the chat box too. I can put it in dark mode, but I just have to be careful because I was informed that the invite link.
Yep, there it is.
Pops up.
There it was.
Now everybody's going to rewind and freeze frame it. And if they weren't, now they might. That's okay.
Whoops.
If you roll less than a 9, I'll kill you. Digital clock radios were a thing. Yours comes on. if you are in the war room, this is the clock radio in your bedroom, so it may take a minute before you hear it. And we'll say it's like an hour later, so we'll say the alarm went off on your clock. Whether you set it or not is not important. In fact, it's better that if you hadn't set it for 5, which I don't think that you did, considering you weren't getting up but fucking 4, I think was what you said.
Nope.
So
probably didn't lay down until 2 a.m. or 3.
Yeah. You can hear it playing upstairs, that sort of tinny sounding from that one speaker on the clock radio, the little digital alarm clocks that you've seen in so many movies. You may have actually had one. I have to gauge my pop references sometimes because I'm just a bit older than you are. I'm a distinguished old guy.
Just grab a cup of coffee off the table and just kind of slowly waltz my way back towards the bedroom, trying to figure out what that noise is.
Usually you can ignore them, and after like 10 minutes or something, they will sometimes automatically go off. This one does not do that. I don't know if yours was that kind, but it doesn't go off. As you get closer to it, you hear it sounding, you hear the sounds of, Van Morrison. But it's staticky. And I would have had a nice spooky rendition of Van Morrison queued up had I had that information earlier, but I am very likely going to use that because I'm a media guy and you've just given me media to create, which I love to do. So, yeah, you can hear it before you get to your room, and then when you open your room, it's kind of louder probably than you had imagined. But yes, it is Brown-Eyed Girl. Loud and kind of clear.
I don't turn it off right away. I kind of stand in the doorway and lean against the door frame, cradling my cup of coffee. Just kind of staring at the clock. Just kind of enjoying it for a minute. And then eventually I'll wander over with kind of a sad look on my face and just knock it off. Not knock the whole thing off, but turn off the alarm. Not just bat the cat out of the way and throw it, but just turn it off gently. The one gentle thing that Joel will do is turn off the alarm.
What do you do then?
Probably kind of just look around. Think that was a little odd. Probably pull on a pair of jeans. Because fuck it, I'm already up. What's the point? And then wander back downstairs to go finish my bowl of cereal and stare at the evidence wall. See if there's anything that sticks out today.
As soon as you close the door to leave your bedroom, the song starts again.
Oh, what the fuck?
In media res, right in the middle of the song.
What the fuck? Pop the door back open. Stare at it now. A little more angry. Not as sad, solemn, and happy about it. Just slowly walk over.
The time on the clock is 5:21.
Slowly lean down and click it back off again. And stand there for a second and watch it.
Nothing happens. If you like, you can observe the situation and ask a couple questions. Or
no, just gonna knock it, stare at it for a second, and then just kind of crumph and walk away. Again. Attempt to go back downstairs.
It doesn't come back on.
That's good.
What are you focused on in your war room
Well, there's a lot of empty leads, a lot of bullshit dead ends, a lot of crazy people, which is actually really interesting. You can see where the knife has been embedded into the head of one particular drug dealer individual who just looks like a bumbling idiot. Still has a line of coke smudged across his nose. But she pauses on this newscaster's photo that she printed out, that she can't quite figure out how it's connected, why it's connected. It's just this image in her head that she can't get rid of. But she doesn't know why.
Meta, did I take that? How much memory of the deal with the slumbering predator? Did I take away? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Okay.
I just knew it was like murder feelings in the back of the head, and like this is the person.
Gotcha.
That's what I remember, so that's what I'm choosing to tell you.
But you're still toying with that. You don't understand why you want to kill this mofo.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't give you a reason, right?
Mm-mm.
Just to make sure. Okay. Sometimes I'll say shit and then not write it down. And if I don't go back and watch it, I've learned that about myself. Yeah, go back and watch some of those old episodes of Manhattan, some of the old ones.
We're just winging it.
Oh
Climb
my
out
God.
super pants.
Nice. Yeah, he seems almost out of place amongst this stuff that has to do with your parents. I mean, I suppose if you went and looked hard enough, you could probably find some sort of connection. But there's not one there now. And let me, before we get too much further, look at your character sheet because you have disadvantages and I want to see. Oh, nightmares. That was the whole last episode. I won't make you do that one.
Mm-hmm. And then
Oath of Revenge
is really just a character trait at this point.
How is it that you only got away with 2 disadvantages? Are you Avenger? Look at this. I'm going for the big book.
Oh shit, we breaking out the big book, baby.
Oh look, I just happen to have a venture bookmarked with my my KULT postcard available at KULTDivinityLost.com. I'm not this. They don't sponsor. I'm just kitschy.
I just like to plug them.
Oh, okay.
Oh Jesus. Oh, I don't like that face. Put that face back where it came from, or so help me.
Well, because you get, as a Avenger, you get Oath of Revenge automatically, and then you get one additional, and then they have some suggestions. So the Nightmares was a good pick. I am going to keep the big book out, though.
I like my book. I don't want to put my book away.
Yeah, because I'm going to pull a DM thing, a GM thing.
Oh, okay. It's a shiny book. It's a real shiny book.
Yeah, it is. It's shiny
and
new.
So fancy.
I know. I need to start using it more. That's why I have a PDF version actually already queued up, but I work better this way, so I'm going to go with this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to give you a new disadvantage.
Oh, great. Joy. So excited. I love disadvantages.
It will be connected to your current situation. It may be fueled by something from previous seasons, and if there is some sort of connection there, although this is a redo of that, Curtis is always twisting some evil, wicked web. So
it's all in the multiverse.
I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility.
Okay.
I'm liking Obsession, but I want to look at it first. And trying to think of something that maybe we haven't done before.
Ooh.
Somebody always picks repressed memories.
Yes, you've discovered a conspiracy or supernatural phenomenon and can't stop yourself from getting to the bottom of it.
Yes.
Whenever I encounter something associated with my
and you
obsession.
almost kind of have an obsession already. That's kind of why I almost don't want to do that one in that sense.
It's a natural obsession with murder.
Yeah.
Okay. What else you got? What else you got? Give it to me. I can take it. Can I?
Yes, I'm going to give you. Okay, let's do just for shits and giggles. No, I was saying you already, and you even had a character that had that. Never mind, I'm changing my mind. Okay, that's what we're gonna do this episode. We'll find one. I have a couple in mind, but
shit, we're gonna discover a new disadvantage.
The tie, we haven't discovered there yet, so I'll just do a little shuffle real quick with my feet, and you're
put this on here.
Trying to figure all this out. You're lost. That you have an obsession, not the disadvantage. You have a small O obsession, on all of this stuff, and
I settle for one, give her two. Tim, shut up. Not helpful.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Tim. And really, it's only because I said, "Hey, let's start fresh." Only now I'm like, yeah, but you've played Joel before. She can handle a couple extra disadvantages. I could probably give her 2 or 3. I'm pretty sure I took off a couple.
You did. You for sure did.
That's okay. This is more fun. Lost in your work, obsessed.
Stare at this picture of this newscaster, bro. Don't know why.
Don't know why.
He's kind of off to the side.
Is there any from this room? I've always had it in my head as a like a basement thing. Is this the one that has the hatch in the floor that you guys dumped Jerry down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that hatch is in the kitchen around the corner, underneath a rug and a small like breakfast table thing. I don't know what the technical term is, but they're just the little tiny like cafe table looking things.
How if somebody if somebody was to knock on your front door or ring the doorbell, does it ring down here, or can you hear it? Is it soundproof? I mean, I'm trying to remember if you guys tortured Jerry or something. If we set the precedent that he can scream down here, nobody's going to hear it.
So this is the funny part. The war room is actually upstairs, not in the basement.
Okay.
Joel does not hide any of the evidence thing. Her house is just like a hodgepodge. She's really just taking it over.
Okay.
So if you pull up we do have an old floor plan. It looks like absolute ass that I designed in some stupid world.
I remember. I do have that somewhere too.
Yeah. Mine is set in locations. That's where I found mine.
Okay.
So there's the little dining room table. So essentially you walk in the door, it's like a mud room, and then there's an office off to the side, the stairs on the caddy corner, and then you come into the dining room. So the dining room has become the war room. It's set behind the stairs, so you can't see it. There's a wall that separates. But it is a mess. So it's actually upstairs. The basement has all the goodies. That's where all the guns and the fun things are.
Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. I get some of those details confused. Sometimes, mostly I painted thinking about some other thing. Do you have a doorbell?
Yeah, there is a doorbell. It's just a doorbell.
I have to change my thought anyway because you're not in the basement anyhow, so it doesn't matter. Well, the doorbell. ding, ding, ding is like panicking going off, and then some pounding at the door, but it is not like cop knock. It is like an attempt at it, but
piss poor.
yeah, or like maybe a kid or something, like it's just not a very big, but they are going at it. And then after a moment, I mean, it doesn't take but just like 2 seconds. What's that? And there's a lot of noise that happens in 2 seconds, and then you can hear a girl's voice. Please help! Somebody help! Is there anybody home?
Joel just sets the coffee cup down on the table. There is a discarded handgun that looks like it was just precariously tossed out of the back of a pair of jeans, just onto the table, like late night. Fuck it, I'm going to bed. Grabs that, tucks it in the back of her jeans. There's a discarded flannel on the back of a chair. She'll grab that, toss it on, normal Joel attire, and walk to the door and slowly peek out. There's like a little tiny window with a little stupid like doily curtain. Just slowly creep around it just to see.
There's a little curly-haired blonde girl, about 9 years old.
Joel just like rolls her eyes, unlocks the door. There's like 3 deadbolts on it and on the handle. Tosses open the door and just hands out, waits. Like, what do you want? Doesn't speak, just staring.
She is obviously distraught. Her eyes are red and swollen. She's crying, sobbing, snot running down her nose, obviously afraid. And it's bright, the light of the day. You've been obsessed over your stuff for a bit. It's like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. So that sort of hits you as you had your curtains and stuff were kind of closed up and hadn't noticed the light so much so. So an immense, a bit of sensory overload for the moment, bright light, emotion coming off of this girl who you are immediately, I'm going to use the word attracted to. It's not technically, we tend to put some sort of sexual overtone to that. That's not what I mean, but you're like, I need to take care of a small child. Yeah, you feel connected to her. Like, she is a cute girl, but she does seem vulnerable and, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, not immediate reaction of suspicious, more like looking behind her to see the threat and ushering her in the door.
Well, yeah, she could be like a family member or something. I mean, that's the sort of connection that you sort of instinctively have.
Okay. Yeah, so I definitely would just kind of look behind her and usher her in to the door at the same time. And then close it behind her as I get her sniffling mess in and lock the doors. 1, 2, 3, doorknob behind this small child, and just kind of kneel down and see if she'll tell me what's wrong, but I'm not quite sure what to say. I'm not good in these situations. This is not my forte with small children.
Did you put all those locks in, or did your parents have those in?
There was 2. I added a 3rd.
2's normal for New York.
Yeah, the 3rd was me. Just be a little extra cautious.
I'm not saying it, Tim. And she already said there was a small window, so there was definitely
it's a small window.
Not one of those.
Not be a peephole. I'm sorry.
She said
it. Sorry, this one's not a peephole. There's one on the back door, though. Peephole. And it's gone. We lost it.
Yeah. She is sobbing, snot running down her nose, difficult to really understand all that she's saying. It's just because she's doing that, gasping, sucking in air, in between the sobs, and you're going to be trying to calm her down. But the story that you start to get is that she lives a few houses down, and something is wrong with her parents. Your instinct is, after a few moments, because she starts talking about them, they were doing some things, and now they're in bed, but they're laying there asleep, but they won't wake up. Sort of get up, and their friends left. They had friends over. The friends left.
I just kind of sigh, rock back on my heels a little bit, usher her over to sit down. There's a little bench with some discarded boots. A pair have blood on them. She scoots those underneath before the little girl can see, and just tells her to sit there, and just kind of adjusts her jeans, not pulls her gun out, but make sure that her gun is snugly where it should be, and just kind of gently pats and tells her to stay here, and then grabs her keys from the hook beside the door and heads out the door and looks down the street. Hope to God I have the right fucking house, and just starts walking towards where...
You won't get that far when you try to the whole stay, I'm going out the door thing. That's going to be a challenge. She is obviously suffering from some sort of shock, and goes into she's just hysteric, clutching you, to the point to where it's either going to be painful for you or for her fingers. I mean, she's trying to hold on so tight to make sure that you don't go anywhere.
Okay, fine. You will come with me, you will stay behind me, and you will do as I say. Okay? We'll go check it out and figure out what's wrong. Better?
It takes a while to make that happen, to get that point across. I can't role play a hysterical, sobbing 9-year-old girl.
And it's just Joel repeating the same thing of fine, fuck it, fine.
And if you seem angry, her hysterics do seem to get a little bit worse. She's very reactive to your emotions. But you do get the point across. I won't let you get to the point to where you're
banging my head against the wall.
We're not going to enter any red card territory. But yes, you eventually get her calmed down enough. But she's more willing to go with you back to the house than she is to stay here alone.
Stay here.
So she will do that. It will take you the entire walk. She lives 3 houses down, to get her to get that crying, sobbing situation suppressed enough that she's just not making a lot of noise. How this is a pretty much homes in this area of this neighborhood. I have no idea what kind of foot traffic are in these particular areas. I would say at this particular point in the morning, any working class people are at work. The old people are in their houses.
Still enjoying their morning news.
Yeah, so, at the moment there's no pedestrian traffic. It is kind of bright, but once you're out and you don't have that first initial blast of light, you realize that it's not necessarily sunny. There is sort of this overcast layer of clouds, but it's not darkening anything.
Okay.
No pedestrians. You finally get her calmed down. You get down to the house, and it is a 2-story, unpainted home compared to relatively nice neighborhood, although the houses are starting to get into that older phase where owners start to die off and they turn into rentals or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, that process of degeneration of a neighborhood as where it once used to be probably nice middle class is starting
Yeah.
to turn into less than.
Yep.
This house is now probably you realize, oh, this is like the worst one on the block.
This is like the crack den.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, it is. If not, it's on the edge of it. So yeah, you have no idea. The windows are all intact. That's a good sign.
Great.
But there's no upkeep.
Great.
There's no children's toys. No bicycles or balls or he said balls. Kids.
Yeah.
I've had a
any-
few 9-year-olds. They all leave shit in the yard.
Oh yeah. Is there like fence around the house or anything? Or is it, if there is fence, is it like falling over? The porch does it look steppable on? More concerned about
Yes.
dying.
It doesn't.
Fence.
No, it's not. It's
Tetanus.
yeah, it's livable. It's
Okay.
hasn't been painted. They obviously don't clean the windows. No time is spent doing those sort of house chores. They never sweep the porch or they mow when they have to. But it's September, so they haven't mowed in a while. Probably hoping that they can slide through and not have to get one more cut in before it's over. So it's
Okay. Is there a doorbell or a knocker or something as I start to step onto the porch that I would visibly be looking for to try and knock on this door?
yeah. As soon as you hit the button and nothing, you don't hear anything. She says something about that doesn't work. We're gonna have to go in the back door.
Why the back door? What's wrong with the front door? And Joel checks the knock or the knob. Is it open?
It turns as if it's unlocked, but when you try to move the door, it is as if it's stone. It is like doesn't budge at all.
Fine, we will go through the backyard. And Joel just doesn't go back down the stairs, just hops off the side of the porch and just starts going around the side of the house. Is there any like light in any of the windows? Do any of the windows look like there's, can I see in any of the windows?
There's 2 windows on the front of the house that had curtains drawn over them, but the windows were so dirty and crusty that it was very difficult to see any details to those curtains. Once you get around to the side of the house, you can see that all of the windows have been covered with like aluminum foil.
Oh, joy. It's like a meth lab.
A meth lab? Do they do aluminum foil? I don't know anything about that, Erica. Tell me more.
I have no idea. I just threw it out there. Okay, if I go around to the back, is there a porch? Is it just like a tiny little step up? Is there a doorknob or anything there? Or like a door knocker? Is it just a back door?
No, it's this is an elevated house, and you can kind of see from the foundation there are some small windows that there's probably a basement as well. Since you are in a neighborhood that can occupy basements, a lot of the island, you get out closer to the edge, is like elevated swamplands that they've converted. Manhattan, it shouldn't even exist, really. Yeah, they're going to be like, oh, sea levels are rising.
Fine.
Good thing I parked on the 5th floor of the garage, but I can't get down to the street. Anyhow, don't get me started on that.
Okay. Does the little girl say anything when I go to open the back door? I I try to knock first, but obviously I don't think I'm going to get a response. She said her parents weren't responsive, but I try anyways.
Right. There's three, it's like a concrete set of three steps, poured stairs that just take you up just high enough over that foundation area. And it is a screen door to a little, sort of like a little back porch almost area, a mudroom maybe you'd call them. Around here we just call them a back porch, but it's not really a porch per se because it's got walls and windows. But it's relatively open. And there's like one of those smaller chest freezers sitting back there. And it's like rusty, and from the sort of that, there's like this orange colored gunk around the edge of it, so you can't tell if it's in operation or not, but you know it hasn't been like
cleaned or opened.
Yeah, it's looking pretty gross. And there's on the floor there's a mishmash of just junk and clutter.
Great.
Dusty.
I turn and look at the little girl just to see if she's got anything to say before I open the door.
No, she's just got this scared look on her face that she's had this kind of the whole time. She's a bit calmer. Compared to the house, she looks clean. She's still in her pajamas. They're clean. Her hair is clean. There's no smudging on her skin or anything like that. And she's just kind of just got this anticipatory expression.
Okay. All right. I try to open the door. Does the back door open? Please tell me the back door fucking opens. Am I gonna have to bust down this fucking door?
Well, yeah. I'm trying to think. The rule is if there's a chance, if failing to do something makes the story better, we'll roll. If failing to do something doesn't make the story better, then there's no need to roll any dice for it. I'm going to let you very easily get in because that's the only way in or out of this place. Because when you tried that front door, it wasn't like it was locked. It was like it was a doorknob attached to a wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gently and gingerly walking. I don't want to know what's in the chest. Tim, I don't want to know what's in there.
Yeah, don't ask those questions, Tim.
Open up the door and gently start walking into the house. Definitely making sure the little girl is behind me, not necessarily beside me, just in case something terrible is in here. You know, I'd like to shield her from horrors as much as possible. I've seen enough of that to know it scars children, especially when they're that young.
Right.
So just kind of start creeping through the house.
That small back porch leads to this tiny little hallway that you can see goes then into the front main part of the house. There's a small bathroom on the wall to your right as you go through this. I mean, when I say small hallway, it's like 4 feet long. You know what I mean? Just enough wall that they've got a bathroom on your right, and then it opens up into a living area with an open doorway on your left that goes into the kitchen, so that you go out in the living room area. If you circled through the living room area, it would go around to the dining room, which would then connect to the other end of the kitchen, which then connects back to where you are at right now. So you've got like this circular thing. And there is also some stairs in that main room that go upstairs to where all the living quarters are, we would assume. There is one other room on the front, on this first floor, kind of around, we'll say, down from where you are at to the right, off of this living area, that could be a bedroom possibly too. There's a door over there. So that's kind of like the in your head floor plan of this house. If we can work with that.
Yeah.
One thing you notice though, once you start to look around, you glance into the kitchen as you pass by it on the left, into the main living area. All of the pots and pans seem to be used and piled in the sink long ago. There's a layer of dust and dirt and stuff that gives they haven't been moved. Not only have they not been washed, they haven't been washed in months, maybe longer than
Years.
that.
Maybe a year more.
It's kind of hard to say, but all the light that comes in through whatever holes in these tinfoil windows, and then in the front room, there's a little bit of light that leaks in, but there's so much dust and stuff in here that you can see the light rays because it's just that stuff that kind of floats in the air that you can't really see except when that shaft of light comes in through. So that's kind of other than that, it's relatively kind of dark in here. There's not a whole lot of light that comes in. The living room is pretty much the same. It looks as if laundry and garbage and things have piled up, not to we got to call hoarders.
Right.
But
these people are not cleanly.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I just start inching down the hallway, glancing in rooms, obviously taking in the filth and the dust, and occasionally glancing back at the little girl just to see if she's A, still behind me, B, what her face kind of looks like, and just kind of creeping my way forward. I'm half expecting her to whisper to me like, oh, that's the room, but I'm also not praying and or holding out any hope that she will actually do that at this point. Children are uncooperative at the best of times.
She has an odd expression. I don't really know how to describe this expression, but it makes you uncomfortable enough that you should roll plus intuition and read a person, because you want to protect, you have this connection, but now you start. The expression is either continued and intensely growing more fear, or it is an over-eager anticipation. You know what I mean? It's like it edges on the, oh my God, we're going to go down here and it's going to be so spooky, or less, or worse, I should say. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to do. I was going to get us a window shot of the thing because I turned on the little 3D dice. I thought that might be kind of cool for the fans.
See that. I always use 3D dice.
See if I can get that in next week. A 3 and an 8. But what was your modifier? Oh, I should look at the thing. That was an 11.
Yes, it's 11.
Well, yes, an 11 is a success with complications. You do get to ask a question.
Okay.
And just to sort of, you've got you can use one of the suggestions, but in conjunction with the expression, she will also inform you that the mom and dad are in the basement, and she's kind of like pointing at that what you assumed was a bedroom door over there. But she's kind of like pointing ahead of you. Yeah. And has, she's got kind of like her finger in her mouth. She could be really, really scared, or she might be like eager to get you in there. It's odd.
Okay, I'm going to use the question, and it is what... Oh, no, because I know how you're going to spend that. No, I'm not going to be happy about it. Never mind. I was going to ask, what do you wish I would do? And your response would automatically be, go to the basement. Because I knew where that was coming from. So that's not the question I'm going to use, because I already know the answer, which Curtis will give me, which is go to the basement.
Are you meta-playing me?
It's just because I know you so well. I guess I kind of want to know how she's feeling right now. Like, can I get a better read on how she's feeling right now? Is it all just terror, or is it like something else?
No. She is eager.
All right. Okay. That definitely sets me a little on edge. I don't love small children who are eager about taking me to a basement. But I've come this far. I feel very conflicted about this small child and the state of this house. So I will slowly open the basement door. But I'm not going down yet. I just want to open it.
Yeah, her eyes are wide. The one thing that also continues to confuse you is the tears continue to stream, even though she's not like crying, like vocally. Yeah. You open the door, and it actually is a bedroom. Well, I say bedroom. It's another room. There's not a bed in it, but it is big enough to be a bedroom. There is what is obviously a closet over to the right with those old school from the 70s sliding closet door, hollow wood panel, not painted or anything cool, just dark. And what should be the wall, what would be the wall of the house, if you are positioned, you're like thinking about where you are at in comparison to the rest of the world around you, that should be outside, but that is the door to the basement on the other side of the bedroom from her bedroom, this room from where you're at. It's an empty bedroom. It's like nothing in here. A closet. It's like a bedroom in an empty apartment, only nobody's come through it in 100 years.
Great.
Well,
just
kind
of glance back at her again. Expression's still the same, still creepy.
It's kind of creepy. There is still, the fear is still there. You do get this radiating fear, but there's also something
else.
It's almost as if she's scared to death, but enjoying it. And you notice, because that nervous finger thing that she was doing, or what you thought was probably fear or nervous or anxiety or whatever, you see this big drip of saliva just ook off of it and kind of drip down. She's just kind of like sucking on it and salivating.
I hate children. Does she give me any indication to walk towards the bedroom? Like, if I turn around and asked her, okay.
Oh, all of her energy is pointed at that door. There's no question.
Oh God. Okay.
I mean, and being behind you, you can almost feel her.
Like shoving?
Yeah, not like physically, but you know what it's like to have a person walking in line behind you, and you think that they think you're not moved up far enough. You have that mental mind game. Nobody's saying any words, but
you feel it.
Yeah,
you feel it. I feel the need to move my gun from behind my. Obviously, I'm wearing a flannel, so I can kind of reach behind me without her seeing that I have a gun in my waistband and move it just to my hip, so it's a little easier access. And it's a child, and I don't want her to obviously freak out because I have a weapon. So it's like an afterthought almost of like, okay, I was overwhelmed by all the crying. I just had to get down here and do whatever because the small child is crying. And now I'm like actively thinking about the fact that there's this child behind me who's got a little bit of a screw loose. I'm going to move this. Like, for my safety, for their safety, I'm just going to move this around just to the side of my hip and then go to the basement door and open it.
Yeah, that gun was right at her, like, hand level. Like, if she reached out, she'd be like, that's
and so as the behavior has gotten like a little more odd and a little more offsetting, it's like, okay, it's time to move that. So I will move the gun around, adjust my flannel, make sure that she didn't see what was back there, and open the basement door. Is there like a light? Is there a smell? What have I got?
Ooh, there is a smell.
Ooh, that smell. Oh, no.
It smells, everything had already smelled old to begin with, older than it looks. This is not an old house like you would imagine an old haunted house. This is a house that just, you're starting to question if anybody has lived in this house, right? There's no sign that this girl has lived in this house. One, she exhibits no sign that she bumped anything on the way in or out of the place at all. And then nothing is disturbed, so to speak. The door is relatively normal looking. It's not old or weird in any way other than it's grungy and dirty like everything else here.
Yeah.
There is sort of this grungy accumulation around its edges that is that same sort of dark orange browny old colored stuff that you saw on the freezer. Just that sort of weird thing around here. I don't know if it's like this in where you're at in Kansas or maybe in Pittsburgh because of the humidity, but like in Joplin, that's where I live. There's the water. If like water hangs out in one area too long, there's like this sort of orangey kind of colored fungus or whatever algae that is natural around here, but it has sort of this orange colored that I always thought was weird.
Yeah.
Some places it's green.
I don't notice it so much up here, but I definitely have noticed it. We noticed it outside, like if we have rainwater, but not like in the house, like you can in like Pitt.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just all the different. I guess it's because of the moisture around here, and I've learned it's different all across the different places. But that's the way it is here, and that's kind of like that color, almost like a rusty color, but it has a gradient to it. It gets dark, sort of brown. It goes through this. There could be a hint of a red, but it's kind of like that blood brown. Like when blood dries, it gets kind of a brown color. That's kind of like the color that it dries to, but at its freshest edge of the gradient, it's going to be more orange, really.
Is there a light like on? Like, is there a stairwell light? Is there a light at the bottom?
You haven't opened the door yet. That's just what it looks like on the outside.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'm still gonna have to touch it and open it. So, I mean, there's a visible look of like, this is horrible. And like a very like gentle like grasp of the fingers, not like a full just grab. It's like a turn.
When you go to turn the doorknob, you hear a pounding sound from somewhere else in the house behind you.
I mean, I jumped out of my skin for starters. I'm a little startled. And I spin around.
That was my jump scare.
Yeah, is the little girl still standing there? Like, does she notice the noise? Like, she's the first person I look at.
Yeah, she spun around. You can tell she heard it. And the eagerness is gone. The fear is definitely there. And she, like, spins around and, like, gets in behind you rather quickly. And the pounding...
Damn it, Tim.
Spoilers. Yeah, the pounding doesn't cease. It's just rapid pound, 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 pound.
I look at the little girl and kneel down to her height. Do you know who that is? Like, where is that coming from?
She looks at you with just, her eyes are rather wide. And it takes her a few seconds. There's this uncomfortable, a pregnant pause. I guess it's not really a pregnant pause, but definitely an uncomfortable moment of silence. And the only thing she says is, "We woke it up."
Woke what up? Woke what up?
And she just keeps looking out of this room, back into the other part of the house, and the pounding seems to grow louder or more intense. It doesn't sound like it's getting closer, but it's louder in your head.
Okay. I stand back up, turn back around, take my gun out gently of the flannel, still kind of trying to keep it hidden from her, but move it in front of me in my hands and start creeping back towards the noise. As stupid as that is, that's just what Joel will do. Go towards the things that are spooky. Although I know it's a bad idea, I will still instinctively always move towards the spooky noise.
That's what
Let's go. Gun out. Let's do it.
That's what I love about you, Joel. When you start to leave the room, she will grab your pants or whatever she can get a grip on first, pocket, belt loop, wherever your gun might have been tucked in. Perhaps that's that slack part of your pants, and tries to stop you. And she's shaking her head and says, "No, you don't want to do that."
Why not?
She just keeps like, no.
Where else are we going to go? Because the only outdoor is back that way, and the other trap is the basement. So what would you prefer?
She's not gonna...
Just patient little like,
Yeah, she's not going to really give you an answer. She just kind of gives off this, she's going to fight you. You can still go. You can drag her. You're much stronger than her. She doesn't get vocal or loud. In fact, if she says anything at all, she's gotten quieter than she was.
That's at least nice touch.
And yeah, I'm hunting through the move sheet, seeing if I can get you to roll something, but we're not there yet. Yeah, I see you avoiding me.
Am I ready to punt a small child to see the scary noise or go downstairs to the creepy basement? Joel is having a big moral dilemma. Do I protect the small child and save her from terror, or do I go investigate the noise, which is what I really want to do?
Right.
And have to drag a small child with me to do it.
Yeah. Man, I know. It's such a good cliffhanger, too. Hola, Epacho. I'm trying to react more with the audience.
Yeah.
Run. It's always an option. And another thing, I can stick this in now because it's a good time to do it. Because why not, right? Part of the Ghostlight project that I'm going to be starting, which you probably don't know anything about. You have to watch my show on Mondays to find out about it. But it is the charity because I've gone through this whole transition of doing a nonprofit to still doing some charity work, but we're going to attach a charity to all the different shows on the live streams. And then, for mine, the money, the bits and the cheers and that kind of stuff will go towards that charity, whatever we decide as a group that we want to give our money to. But we have to find a way. Remember when? That's Boy, My Missouri came out, didn't it? When I said, remember?
Oh, my Northwest Kansas comes out quite a bit. It's all right.
Remember when we used to do things? Remember when? There's actually a whole nother syllable of letters in front of that word.
We don't use those a lot.
In the beginning, when I did the Deus Ex Machina, where if they gave us money, then I think I did it for advantages or something on a roll. But we have to also come up with a way for it to affect the game. So
They would get options.
yeah, like this would be
And
a
moral
situation
dilemmas.
like right, like throw us some money, and we'll let you decide if Joel goes and opens the freezer, which is where the pounding is coming from. Thanks, Tim.
Or
He
opens
read it
the
from a
basement
mile
door
away.
or runs away.
Yeah. So that's one thing we're gonna have to come decide on as we get ready, because that's something that I'm going to do for 2022, so we can pay it back, right?
Yes.
Um,
Is the door closed to the bedroom? That's my question.
Did you close it when you came in?
Well, she was behind me, so no.
She did not close it.
Oh, little shithead. All right.
So it's open. Yeah, you see into that living area. But you can.
Sorry, it says open the freezer, but throw the kid first.
Throw the first kid, yeah. Say, kid, go open the freezer. Yeah, you can tell from the look on her face that's not going to happen. She does not want to go out there.
Okay, what if this is probably what I would do in this situation, just to buy myself a little bit of time? I would drag her towards the door because she's obviously not going to fucking unclean herself for me. And I would close the bedroom door.
Mm-hmm.
So I would at least have that extra space if whatever is in said freezer is going to jump out. I could buy myself at least a doorway's worth of time to make another decision.
Okay.
Joel thinks very tactically. You have to put objects in objects' way so you do not get in front of said harm.
Just because I'm trying to be an evil game master, and we're getting close to the end of our time together, my spoopy time with you. She's trying to hold you back from doing this. There's also just sort of this odd energy that's been in the place since the beginning. You don't know what's going on, but I want you to use your coolness to act under pressure, not necessarily as a test to whether you not close this door, but just for you to, as opposed to a keep it together. Although that might actually have been better, but I'm going to say that you're keeping it together anyways, because you seem to have you're not scared per se.
No, not yet.
So I just want to get a measure and take a chance at maybe getting a hold or a move.
Okay, so you want coolness?
Yeah, so let's act under pressure. See if you can manage her, get the door closed, and make a decision.
Okay.
21. Well, throw it in my face, Joel. All right.
Coolness is not the option to take because my coolness is rather high comparatively.
You got that. You do what you intended. When you go to close the door, there is a bit of a moment when she kind of almost gives a little screech. The pounding intensifies. And when I say intensifies, it does intensify. You can tell that it doesn't get any closer, but it gets harder, more angry.
Uh-oh.
And when you close the door and turn around, she's looking at the door and kind of just like waiting, like shaking her head, like in disbelief.
What are you doing?
Wanting to know, she doesn't know what's going to happen. But she is, as you are walking then back towards the other door, the basement door, she is sort of slowly keeping with you. However, she is walking backwards.
Oh, so I'm like dragging her.
She's going with you willingly. I mean, she's just kind of following you to that, But she's not taking her eyes off the door. She's watching the bedroom door, the door that you just closed.
Mm.
It's almost like I could equate it to, let's say you're two kids and you're roughhousing in the bedroom, and you can hear dad of your friend. You're at your friend's house, and you hear her dad in the other room say, "Hey kids, knock that off. I'm gonna come back there and kick some ass," right? But he's serious. And then you just go, "Oh, fuck that guy," and you go close the front door. This is your friend going,
"Fuck no, what the fuck are you doing? What's wrong with you?"
Right. Like, what?
Okay, I get you. Okay.
And also sort of like not knowing, like, I've never seen this happen before.
I have stumped the small demon child by closing the door to buy myself two more seconds of safety, if anything, to contemplate what safety measures I'd like to take. I mean, I really want to know what's in the basement, but I also want to know what's in the freezer. And I have to get past the freezer to get out the door. So there's another thought. And this is all happening in Joel's head very quickly. She's like got the little cartoons playing in her head of like, okay, do I take the kid and run past the freezer door and just leave? Or do I go down to the basement because I really want to know what's in the basement, but also this child wants me to go to the basement. So that's also a little concerning. And also where are these deceased and or coked out and or like non-existent parents at?
Can you describe that as in terms of like a little angel Joel popping up over here and a little devil Joel popping over here, and then like the little wearing the beanie stoner Joel that pops up over here?
Yeah, that's exactly like what it is. Like it's just very quick thoughts and like very quick like game plans in her head of like, okay, so what if we just ran out the door, up the stairs, found whatever was going on, take the kid, don't take the kid, maybe take the kid, leave the kid here. What's wrong with this kid? I don't know. Like it's all very fast.
Right.
Joel's brain works quickly through these like tactical motions because her father trained her to be very tactically aware and he was a military man. So like there's all this pounding and the small child like yanking on her jeans. So that's making it 3 times harder to process. What do I do?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and she's not really yanking so much now as to like if you are, I don't know where you're at exactly in the room. This is a good reason for doing a Roll20 map. But where you closed the door to the bedroom, so you're now in a room with 2 doors. Walking back to that other door, she is doing so, but backwards. She's not really fighting you. Doesn't say much as you're making your decision, because ultimately it's like, which door do I open? She's looking at the other door. You look at her trying to find out what's going on, and you hear the door that you just closed creak.
Oh shit.
That's really the best way to describe it. If you look at it, it bulges. You can see it like push in, but and the wood gives. You can see the fibers of the wood kind of stretch, but it's not breaking. It's just kind of
like
rubbery. and slow and sort of rubbery, but it actually sort of splits the fibers apart, and then when it comes back, it goes back together. It doesn't leave it rough and damaged.
Is there any windows in this house? Like in this room? Or is it no windows?
In this room, no. You would think that there would be a window on that door or the wall with the door.
But there's not, right?
But there's not.
Okay. Do I have enough time to... Well, no, that's not going to help me. Never mind. That wouldn't be a smart move. I was going to say, do I have enough time to... Instinctively, Joel would grab child, move to wall that has the door, to then, if something is going to barge into the room, slip out the door and out of the way, like very Scooby-Doo-esque. That's where Joel's brain goes. She's like, okay, can I grab this child, shove us both up against the wall? This thing busts in, we sneak out the door before it even realizes, like, that's our escape route at this point.
Strategy. So your purpose then is to run. You're just now trying to find out how you're going to make that happen.
Yeah, like, what is the safest route out of this?
Right, because the parents are seemingly through gross cruddy weird door on wall. And then you have this strange, obviously supernatural sort of situation that's happening on this, as it is not necessarily shoving the door open. Now, it pushes that door to a limit to where you don't understand why the door freaky. Doesn't break, doesn't swing open. Physically, it would reduce its framing structure and come off the hinges and out of whatever latch was there. And all of that's pretty much. So now I want you to keep it together.
Yeah. Joel's struggling with this one. Apparently struggling really badly with this one.
Oh, no. Yes.
Oh no.
Oh, you know what? This is too good. We're gonna cliffhanger right here.
Oh no.
Because I want to set this up. This is beautiful. This is an amazing situation. Next Tuesday, we have a roll of a 7 on a keep it together is the first order of business for Joel. And
for shame.
With that, I'll just keep rambling. So I guess it's the time we have to do the whole thing and say good night and sweet dreams, and we love you.
No, good night, sweet dreams. I love all of you.
Good night, everybody. Thanks.
You guys are wonderful.